Hello and welcome to another episode of the Konich-Yeehaw podcast. I'm Jared.
And I'm Natalie.
And today we're going to be talking about what we watched in this past season.
Yes, our season review of Winter 2023.
Yes. I'm going to start off with the shows that I watched and Natalie didn't. So first is the newest season of My Hero Academia. I think it was good.
Okay.
Like, I know I talked about earlier about how I'm like kind of bored of My Hero. And I think that they finally kind of pulled it back by doing something that a lot of hero shows don't. Or, yeah, I guess like they don't really do that. A lot of hero things do this. But this did it in a kind of... I like how they did it. So basically what it was is that it's got to that like hero arc of the civilians no longer trusting or liking the heroes.
Okay.
I feel like it's used... It's not uncommon in like superhero movies and shows and things like superhero media. But I feel like they did it pretty well. Like, the main character is like, oh, I'm the only one that can save people, and then he spirals into darkness and like things like that. So it was interesting. Definitely gave some life to my hero.
That's good.
To kind of finally have something different than just main character saves the day. But I will say this, it's gotten more bullshit.
Oh, yeah?
Yes, because it was introduced that the main character can, like, use multiple powers. But instead of, like, the previous powers where he took a long time to, like, figure out how to use them, he kind of knew how to use them immediately. Like, he was, like, immediately good at them for the most part.
I see. Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, sure, I guess. And then the other show is Vinland Saga, Season 2. Season 1 of Vinland Saga was fantastic. It was amazing. It was great. And, listen, I know that it's a saga. So there's, like, character arcs of, like, the main character changing how he feels about things and like things like that, you know, because it's like it's a saga, so there's lots of development.
Right.
But it's kind of boring.
Okay.
So,
this part of it?
Yeah. Well, the thing is that it's a season split that's going to cover over 2 seasons.
Okay.
Like, if you get what I mean.
It's
going to be 24 episodes.
Okay,
24 episodes.
Yeah.
I am not caught up on it. I watched episode 9, and I don't know. I'm just kind of bored.
Okay, so kind of you dropped it.
Yeah. So
essentially.
Yeah. So I don't know if I'm going to keep watching it.
But it is completed now, or
no,
or it's halfway.
No,
We're at
it's
the halfway, right? Okay.
So, it's that. So the first season was all about a child who was plunged into war, and all they know is hatred.
Okay.
Then season 2 is about... Well, first off, it adds another main character. I guess to try to put like a more human aspect against him. But like the main character of the first season has like completely given up on life, and it's just kind of like a husk of what he used to be. And where I got to was he realized that like he wants to continue living, but living the life of a pacifist, like, which was what his dad like tried to like portray to him, because in like the second episode of the first season, his dad like sacrificed himself, but he was known as this big warrior, and he was trying to in the first season he was trying to portray like fighting isn't everything. So I get it. I get what it's saying. It's the whole like, okay, your dad was right, like fighting isn't how we solve all of our answers. War is bad. But like, that's kind of why I was watching it. Like, the war part was the cool part.
Right.
And now it's just farming.
Farming simulator.
It's just been farming for for the entire time. And I'm like, fine. But I'm tired of farming. And so I don't know if because a lot of the times in shows, whenever, especially since I'm pretty sure it's long, it's a saga. So there's going to be a lot of arcs in it. So I wouldn't be surprised if immediately after he's declared this pacifism, he gets thrown back into the fray, and has to fight for his life. So maybe I'm just this is the calm before the storm, and I just need to hold out.
Right.
Or maybe it is just gonna keep being more fucking farming. And I'm not, and it's in-depth farming too, talking about wheat and why wheat is such a good starter crop, and it's a lot.
Okay.
And I'm just kind of bored.
Right.
So I don't know if someone that's watching can tell me to keep watching. I mean, someone that's watching this and Vinland Saga or has read Vinland Saga and can tell me to keep watching because it gets better. Please do so, because I want it to be good. Vinland Saga Season 1 was really good. And I think that's it that I watched by myself.
Okay, yeah.
Then let's talk about some stuff that is continuing from the last season.
Yes, and both these are now ended for now.
Yeah.
They have reached their final
I'm pretty
24th episode.
I'm pretty sure both of these
have been renewed.
Both
of these have already been renewed also. So the first one was Ursa Yatsura.
Yes.
Which once it started last season, and then this season is now where it's ending. Still overall funny show.
Yeah.
Funny little gags. They add new characters, keep things fresh. I thought that the final episode was really funny.
It was really funny.
The best girl.
Yeah.
Fight. The best girl competition. But it was just a bunch of sponsorships and stuff.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of just one-liner jokes in there that it's really fun.
Yeah. It was.
And I would like to keep watching it.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind keep watching either.
Yeah.
I hope this spurs more old shows to be remade.
Right.
80s and 80s shows.
Yeah, we talked about it in one of our previous episodes, our retro anime episode, how the remake of Ursa Yatsura does make us excited to see maybe some other popular shoujo anime get the same care that Ursa Yatsura did.
Honestly, if just remake all of Rumiko Takahashi's shows, Inuyasha, Ranma 1/2. I'll watch them.
Yeah,
if they're remade
the same way that Ursa Yatsura is, because it is it's still faithful to the art style.
Yeah,
but it's just revamped.
Yeah,
which is really cool.
Yeah. Dave Pro is the company that did it, and they did a really good job. They really understand how colors work. They also do JoJo, so they're familiar with making things look pretty.
Yes. And then the next one was Bluelock. So a lot went down in Bluelock. So basically, we have teams. There are teams of 5?
Yeah.
We have teams of 5 now. This is where we're ending. So we have it's our like main team is the top 3, so the 3 best players, plus our main character, Ichigo. No. No, that's not right.
I don't remember his name.
Oh shoot. Okay, we have our main character, and then we have his best friend.
Yeah.
Bachira.
Yeah.
They're a team. And then we have a couple of other teams. Some of them are completely new characters that have not even had speaking roles yet. So that'll be interesting to see what they're all about. I saw a little baby spoiler from a manga panel on Twitter, because they're making the joke of, I love to show I love to show panels of Bluelock and tell people that it's just about soccer.
Yeah.
Like that, because it's a very intense show.
Yeah.
But I saw a little baby spoiler having to do with that, about one of the characters that was just introduced in the final episode, one of the ones that doesn't have, they just got introduced, right? What are the exciting things? They played like the 5 best soccer players in the world,
right?
Which was crazy. For many reasons. One was that they all had silly accents.
They all were trying to speak English, but it was all definitely Japanese people that do not speak English.
Except for the British person.
Except for the British person.
Except for the British person who actually really did sound British.
Yeah.
So they play this game. I think they only score 1 goal.
Yeah.
And then they get like obliterated, right? Which was like expected, except for one person didn't expect that.
Yeah.
The number 1, because he has the biggest ego. And then after this game, it's revealed that Bluelock is in a lot of debt, because we did pay each one of these 5 players like $1 million.
Yeah.
To have this like one game against these. I mean, like to them, they're high schoolers, they're rookies, right? So the like FC Japan is like, this is expensive. We're not seeing results. We have to the parents are upset.
Yeah.
We have to stop it. And Ego, the guy who's running it, is like, give me 1 more game against the U20 Japan team. Which I do not know what U20 stands for. I do not know what it stands for, but
I'm pretty sure it's all people under 20.
All people under 20?
Yeah, I think it's
under
like
20.
The best team of people under 20.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
I'll look it up.
About to say, not soccer people here, but they have to play the U20 team in a match, and if the Bluelock team wins, then Bluelock can continue. So it's kind of like paused right now. Like it seems like the like Bluelock competition is going to be paused until this next game against the U20 team, and they're just going to be training and learning about each other and how each other's soccer styles play. Which I'm really excited for.
Yeah. Okay, I was right. It's the best players in Japan under the age of 20.
Under the age of 20.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and I think the other thing is that if they win, they get to replace the U20 team.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. Like, they struck up this, like, really insane deal with the soccer people of Japan, where they're like, yeah, if we win, though, not only do we get to continue Bluelock, we also get to just be the U20 team. Like, everybody in the U20 team is fired. Like, that's crazy. So, that's what we are looking forward to in the next season.
Yeah, I don't know when it's getting renewed. I think it might be 2024.
I think it's 2024. Yeah. So those are the 2 things that continued and have finished. Next are some new things.
Yeah. Well, new-ish.
New-ish.
This is a season 2.
Oh, the yes, season 2 of Egyptian Gods. Once again, chibi show with
like 3-minute episodes, 5-minute episodes.
3 to 5 minute episodes of the Egyptian gods doing random things, not even necessarily god things.
Yeah, not especially in this episode.
Yeah,
this season. Yeah, it's very much not even god things.
They're not doing god things. I know for one episode they had a snowball fight.
Yeah.
That was one of them. I can't even remember all the episodes now because they're short and they're cute, and it's the last thing that we watch whenever we are watching anime. to kind of like end on a light note. Right. But it is still really cute. I still liked it. Still had some funny moments in there.
Yeah, it's really cute. Shoot, give us a season 3. I'll still watch it.
Yeah, I'll still watch it.
I think season 2 was only like 10 episodes too.
Oh, yeah.
Like instead of 12.
Yes, it was only 10 episodes.
Yeah,
that's right.
It started late, I think.
I think it might have started late, yeah.
Yeah.
And then we have the Junji Ito, the Netflix Junji Ito Maniac / Japanese Tales of the Macabre, which was a animated retelling of popular Junji Ito stories. So, as this was on Netflix, we did finish this much quicker than everything else that is on the list. So
I actually thought that this was in the previous season.
Yes.
Because of how far back it was.
How far back it was for us.
Yeah.
But revisiting it now, or trying to think about it, trying to pull together our memory of it. It was, I forgot how many episodes. I think it was 12.
It's 12. Ooh,
well, it also, some of the episodes had 2 stories.
Yeah,
so
most of the episodes had 2 stories.
Yeah, so there was a good amount of content that was in the series.
Right.
Since they were anthologies, non-related episodes, what was your most memorable Junji Ito story?
My most memorable, let's see. My most memorable was probably the Flying Heads one.
Floating Heads.
It was so bizarre. Like, I think I talked about this at the beginning of the season, because it's one of the first few episodes.
It's one of the first few,
but it's like, the concept is that there are these giant floating heads come out of nowhere, and they all have ropes attached to them.
Like a balloon.
Yeah, like a balloon. And they're following the person whose head they are to try to, like, hang them.
Yeah, and kill them.
Yeah.
And it's like no rhyme or reason.
Yeah.
No, there's no sort of solution. I mentioned that about these stories, and whenever we were introducing the season, that a lot of these horror stories go without answers.
Yeah.
And they end in, like, really, the point is to make you feel really weird, right? To make you feel really uneasy, because you don't have any answers for what is happening and why it's happening.
Right.
Yeah, so Floating Heads was definitely one.
Another one that oddly stuck with me was the ice cream episode. So there's an episode where this ice cream truck comes, or it's an ice cream bus.
It's a bus.
Yeah. So, like, all the kids come to the ice cream bus, and then the ice cream bus man, he just drives them around town.
He just drives them around town, and the parents are like, yeah, it's the ice cream bus.
Yeah. And, like, it's revealed that there's just, like, a pile of ice cream in the middle that all the kids are eating from.
Like a mountain.
Yeah.
Like, on the floor.
Yeah. And then, in the end, everything that ate ice cream is turning into ice cream.
Yeah, so the kids are ice cream.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're like obsessed with ice cream.
Eating the other kids.
And they're eating the other kids. Yeah, it's really weird. Also, no explanation, no answers. Because the driver is like, because there is a driver to this bus. Like, and he's weird, but we're not gonna talk about him.
Another one that stuck with me that I actually didn't even really like that much was the underwater creature episode.
That was
where,
odd.
like, okay, so the concept is that there is this ferry that, like boat ferry, that was attacked by a giant monster, and everyone on the boat drowned.
Right.
So
it wasn't found, at least.
Yes,
nobody's body was found.
This giant monster washes up on the shore.
Like a sea monster.
Yes. And they cut the belly open because they see people inside. And it turns out that the people became parasites of the giant monster. And then they just become, like, creature people, and then they run off
like zombie people.
Yeah, and then they run off into the forest. Then the episode ends.
Yes.
It's a really short episode.
Very short episode.
And it's just really weird.
Yeah.
Like, it's not even that good necessarily. It just stuck with me.
Yeah. Well, the reason why I almost even forgot that episode is because it's attached. Remember, some of these were 2 in 1.
Yeah.
It's attached to one of my most memorable episodes. One of my most uneasy.
What are yours?
Yeah.
Because I know one of them because it's also one of mine.
Yes, it's the one I'm about to say, I think, which is called Layers of Terror.
Yeah.
Which is awful, by the way, but I loved it. Like, whenever I say it's awful, I mean that I really liked it because it's horror, so of course it's awful. But the story of that one is that, so there's a family. There's a mother, and then there's 2 sisters and her children, right? The father is dead.
I think so.
The father is dead. He was an archaeologist who unearthed some like grave, and the grave, the way that the sediment was laying was in the shape of a face, like a profile of a face, and he unearthed it, and I guess some like locals told him that he's cursed now, right? But that's like that. But now he's dead. So one of the sisters was a child model / actress, I think. Yeah. But that was whenever she was like a kid, like 5 or really young. And now she's 16, I think. She's a teenager now. But her mother was really obsessed with this like time in her life when she was just a little girl who like, you know, like she treats her like a doll. I mean, essentially, like this one is her doll. And then the other sister is quote unquote the ugly one. The mother is like awful to her, right? But she is older. So what happens, and it's already very terrifying, they get into this terrible car accident, and the younger sister's face, like half of her face like rips off, and it's like flat, and it's gross. It's already gross, right? But it's revealed that underneath that half of her face is just another version of her face.
Yeah, it's just another layer.
It's just another layer.
Like a younger layer.
Yeah. So then they go to the doctor, and the doctor is like, she's made up of layers. Like, they show the x-ray, and it's like jarring stuff, right? Where it's like instead of growing, she just like adds another layer to her, like a tree, I guess is the best way to put it.
Yeah.
So this layer that like got cut off during this car accident, it's just her like a year younger that's showing, and like there's like some like skin like like discoloration to show it in the show, but like they look pretty much the same. It's only a year, right? So the mother gets obsessed with this idea that she can peel away her daughter's skin and get her back to her 5-year-old self. And once again, this is where it gets real disturbing, because she does it. She like claws at her face and her body. She's peeling away at her skin, and she gets to her head. That is her as a baby, but her body is just like, it's gross.
Just like thin.
It's just thin. It's like, it's nasty, y'all. It's nasty. And of course the older daughter is like trying to stop her, and then it ends with the mom thinking that she can do the same thing to herself. So she tries to rip off her own face. And I mean, she does it, but it doesn't work. And that's how the episode ends. Yeah. And it's nasty.
It is. It's really like, that one really stuck with me.
That one is nasty. Yeah. And then I think my second one, to just mention another one, is the Tombstone Town. I really liked Tombstone Town. So basically the premise of this one is that there's a town out somewhere, and whenever any living thing, because it works with animals too, whenever it dies, you are supposed to leave it where it died, and they turn into their own tombstone. So they like sprout rock and cement or whatever, and they turn into their own tombstone. And you're not supposed to disturb their body once they die, so that they can turn into their own tombstone. Of course, what this means is that there are tombstones all over the town.
Yeah.
Like, and also just like, there's different sizes, they're in the road, they're on the sidewalks. They're all over the town.
It's also one thing to note that they also are very strategic about it. Mm-hmm. So, like, if someone's about to die, they'll, like, carry them out of the hospital into, like, the courtyard.
Yes. So the hospital is actually the biggest gravesite because they do just have to carry them out to, like, a designated yard area, and they let their tombstone grow outside of the hospital. But this is normal to these people, by the way. So then what happens is some tourists, we'll call them tourists. It's a guy and a girl.
Yeah.
I don't think they're related. I think they're
they're
like friends of somebody else, right?
Yeah.
So they are driving to this town without the knowledge of what this town is. And they hit somebody. Like, they full on run over a girl. And the guy freaks out and puts her in his trunk. What? So they put her in the trunk, and they're just like, he's just like, be cool, act natural. We're only visiting for a couple of days, and then we're leaving. We can do something about this later. And then they learn about the tombstone curse. And it's like, wow, I wonder where this is going, right? So, yes, the body in the back turns into a tombstone slowly, weighing down the car. Very obvious. They do eventually throw her down a well.
Yeah.
But, like, she's heavy. Like, she's starting to turn into rock. They throw her down a well. But she gets vengeance, doesn't she?
See, that's the thing, is that...
it ends on a pretty ambiguous note.
The thing is that, like... I don't remember if she actually gets vengeance, or if... Because... The guy... dies in some
because
way.
he touches her.
That's right.
So whenever that's the other reason why you don't move the body, is because you're not supposed to touch them.
That's right.
So
and
he started turning into stone.
Right.
That's right.
And then they go back to their hometown. He's in the hospital, and the girl is just like guilt-ridden.
Yeah. So it's awful. Anyway, but also a very interesting concept. So.
Yes.
Okay, that was Junji-Ito.
Yes. Lastly.
Okay. So Trigun.
Yes.
Trigun Stampede, remake of the Trigun from 1997.
Yes.
Well.
Okay. I want to preface this before we go into this. I do want to preface that it's not bad.
I have other opinions.
It's not okay. Let me. My true feelings about it. It is average. It is an average show. It's not great. Okay. It's really not great. But we also have
higher expectations.
And we have context of the old show.
Yeah.
As a standalone show, a 12-episode standalone show, it's not bad. Mm-hmm. Like. It could be better. Could be a lot better. But, like, as a standalone show, it's very average.
Yes.
Compared to the old show, it's trash.
Yes. So, I have definitely been trying to think... I've been trying to get to think of an opinion that I can have that doesn't involve comparing it.
Yeah.
I really am, because it's hard. It's
hard not to.
So, I'm thinking, okay, well, obviously... It looks good. Everybody knows that it looks good. It looks great. Characters, not fleshed out.
No, not at all.
They do not get fleshed out kind of whatsoever.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't know. I just feel like...
Vash does a little bit, but...
Vash does a little bit. Wolfwood...
You know who gets fleshed out the most?
Knives.
It's
because they kill him.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's because they kill him at the end of this. But that's why he gets fleshed out the most, though.
Yeah.
So that's would probably be my biggest gripe, is that in these 12 episodes, no one was really fleshed out. Mm-hmm. Some relationships, like, didn't make sense. So what I'm thinking of when I say that is the Meryl Vash relationship.
Yeah.
To me, in the show, in the Trigun Stampede, it doesn't make sense. Because I think I even made this comment to you where I was like, if they are just reporters trying to get a story, trying to get an interview with Vash, in those first, like, 4 episodes, they're in a car with him.
Yeah.
And then he gets on the sand steamer, and she's like, I gotta follow him. And he's like,
okay,
why though?
Okay, the idea is that she's become attached to him, and she's making up the excuse that they're reporters.
Yeah, but it's just, well, why? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. Like, what? Because he saved a town? I guess that's cool and all, but like, it just doesn't. I don't know. It just doesn't really make sense to me.
Yeah, he saved a town, and then the town got destroyed, and then they had shared trauma.
Yeah, I guess so. Whatever. Yeah. I didn't think that their relationship was very fleshed out in this iteration. Mm-hmm. And I also agree with you in just saying that trying to ignore what I know about the original, that storyline wise, it's pretty mediocre.
Yes.
Like, it's pretty mediocre. Now, when we're comparing it,
yeah,
turning on the comparison brain.
So before we compare it, I do want to say that actually no, this is part of the comparison now that I think about it. First and foremost, one of the reasons why it's so much worse than you told me this, and I didn't really think about it. One of the reasons why it's so much worse is because it's mostly sci-fi and not very Western.
Yes, I noticed that. Like, so towards the last 3 episodes, mm-hmm. I started getting really tired and almost dreading watching it because I'm like, oh, I gotta sit through another episode of the Trigun Stampede. And then I realized, like, what shifted, what changed. And what changed was they stopped being in a desert.
Yeah.
So the whole premise of the show, right, is that they crash landed on a desert planet a couple hundred years go by, right? There are some, like, spotted civilizations, but it's very much like an Old West feeling, like classic Western saloons and cowboys and outlaws and things like that, right? And that's where a lot of the humor that's where a lot of the humor was, in the original, is in those gunslinger moments, or in just in that, like in that genre of Western, right? So whenever you took, like, the Western part of it out and just had the sci-fi, it was a lot more serious.
It wasn't funny.
It wasn't funny anymore.
It wasn't funny.
The show stopped being funny.
Yeah, and that's, like, a huge flaw.
Yeah.
Like, Vash is funny.
Vash is really funny.
The whole point is that it's a comedy. Mm-hmm. Like, for example, I mean, okay. The whole point was that the whole point of the original was that it was this contrast of he is seen as this humanoid natural disaster.
Right.
But he's a pacifist.
He's a pacifist, and he's always trying to help.
Yes. Like,
even if it's disaster that follows him, quote unquote, he's always trying to help. He's always trying to prevent the disaster.
Yeah. And that's actually one thing that I really dislike about this one, mm-hmm. is that, like,
we see it, like, twice, maybe?
Well, Vash isn't very lighthearted.
No.
And he's very...
So it's like the first episode we see him at his most lighthearted.
He's actually really quick to draw his gun.
He is in this one.
He will, like, aim his gun at people. And I'm like...
shooting to kill some boys. I was like, oh.
Yeah, and I'm like, this is... the whole point is that he doesn't want to kill anyone.
Right.
But, like, he will point his gun at people to threaten them. And I'm like, that's not Vash.
That's not Vash. So, yeah, that genre difference really made a big, big impact, mm-hmm. in the tone of the show. And once again, a little bit, you want to give them some leeway, because the original was how many episodes? It was like...
It wasn't like a ton,
It wasn't a ton, but it wasn't 12.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was like, maybe like 40.
Yeah. So... they were trying to achieve a certain amount in 12 episodes. Mm-hmm. We can, like, once again, try to give them some leeway with that. But I also felt like some...
No, it was 26 episodes.
It was only 26 episodes?
It was 26 episodes.
Oh, never mind. I can't give them any leeway.
Yeah.
Why did you... The pacing, man. The pacing. Yeah. So, what other complaints that I have? Wolfwood. Wolfwood's character.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not supposed to... It wasn't revealed until, like, the last 5 episodes, maybe. Maybe even less. That Wolfwood was a traitor.
Yeah.
And he's essentially introduced as a traitor.
Yes. It's literally the end of the episode he's introduced. The end of
the episode that he's introduced at. He has his secret meeting with Vash's enemy. Mm-hmm. And the enemy is like, are you sure you can do this? And he's like, yeah, whatever. So, like, it's introduced right away that Wolfwood is a traitor. Mm-hmm. Which, like, was a big shocker in the original because, like, this guy appears. First of all, he gets along with Vash. Yeah. First of all, in the original, he gets along with Vash very well. Very well. They're like the same person. Yeah. They become friends instantly. And then it's a really big deal whenever you find out that he was a traitor. Like they really built up that relationship. But then in this remake in Trigun Stampede, he's very apathetic towards Vash.
Yeah, he is.
He's like literally only doing a job. Yeah. He's like, I was hired to follow you and to watch you and to make sure that you didn't like die. But I don't really want to do it. Yeah. Like, he's so apathetic towards Vash. And to me it's bothersome. Yeah. Because they were like the duo, you know? Yeah. Like, they're like the dynamic duo and the original best buds. Mm-hmm. And, like, Wolfwood's character is just, like, different. Like,
it's very different.
It's very different from the original. And I don't really like it. But,
other characters that are very different from the original. Meryl.
Meryl. So, I guess I should go ahead and point out that in the final episode, it is revealed that maybe this was a prequel the whole time.
In a weird way.
So obviously it can't be a true prequel because Knives dies. Yeah. Knives is dead, and Knives was the main villain for the original Trigun as well. Knives is dead now, though. But we get the prequel vibes because, 1, Vash gets a new haircut. Yes. 2, his wanted poster, his worth or whatever, his reward amount is now the same as what is in the original show. Right. Whereas before, in the beginning of the remake, it is at a lower amount. And 3, we get very lightly introduced to the character of Millie. So, those point to it being a prequel the whole time. Mm-hmm. Which I already thought it was going to be a prequel. Yeah. Because of other reasons that I've basically
everything you just said.
Everything I just said. But now we know, like, which, yeah. Another thing but we're going off of Meryl. Sorry. Yeah. I wanted to just bring up it was going to be a prequel the whole time thing. Mm-hmm. So Meryl, in being a different character completely, is much wimpier. Yes. She's just a little guy in a big desert who had never shot a gun before, and was not very much a boss lady. No. Like at all during this remake, which did irritate me because Meryl was a boss lady in the original, but essentially the mentor Roberto De Niro has a tragic death that we all definitely cared about. That is to say that we did not care about because we didn't care about Roberto De Niro.
Yeah, because he wasn't he was barely even a character.
He had no development.
He had no development. He barely had any interactions.
He barely had any interaction. His only interaction was to be like, "What are you doing, kid?" And she's like, "I'm gonna go save Vash," and he'd be like, "You don't have to do that, you got to think about yourself." And that's like it. I mean, I get a mentor, quote unquote mentor, but he's dead now. He died in an elevator. So it is revealed at the end of the episode that now Meryl is going to be a mentor to someone named Millie, which we know who Millie is.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they have already said that they're going to make another season.
They did?
I think.
I don't remember that.
Well, maybe I'm getting it confused with something else that said they're making another season. Either way. I think they will, though. I mean, they set it up for it. They set up the ending for it. I don't think... I mean, unless, like, the ending was literally just supposed to be a nod towards the original.
I think it might. Sad to say... Studio Orange isn't exactly known for their sequels.
Okay. Yeah. That's fine. I mean, I really wanted to see Millie. I wanted to see Millie in the original one. In the what actually happened though. Yeah. But yeah, that's like it ended really weird. It ended the story
made no sense.
The story didn't make too much sense. So
okay, yeah, you go ahead.
So, the story that was the parts that were in line with the original, obviously everything is surrounding the plants, right? The capital PLANT plants, who were like pods. You can think of it as just like energy pods, I guess. And they were brought to this desert planet because they're supposed to help make it not a desert anymore, make it livable for humans. It's like it's a source of energy, a vague source of energy. Something that I am a little bit confused about, were the plants made by humans?
Yeah.
They were, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So they're made by humans. Now, Vash and Knives are considered independents, which means that they are plants, but they are more human-like. And their purpose was to essentially be the engineers for the plants, to commune with the plants. Excuse me, whenever they were in need of it.
Right.
Essentially. So, what happens? Vash is very much on board for helping the humans. Knives is like, I am superior, why would I want to help them? That's their dynamic, right? That is still the same. So, what's a little different, in my understanding, is that in the remake, Knives sees the other plants as his equal.
Yeah, I think so.
And that I don't remember being in the original.
I don't either.
In the original, the plant pods were literally just energy sources.
Yeah.
And people fought over them, as they do in Westerns when you fight over something that is necessary.
Yeah. Limited resource.
Yes, whenever you fight over limited resources. Yes, exactly. But in the remake, Knives' whole thing.
Yeah.
His whole mission was, in his mind, he says, I am better than humans. Like, him and Vash. He pulled Vash in his...
that was in the original.
Yes, in his mind, Vash is with him.
Yeah.
Where he's like, I don't understand why Vash doesn't feel this way. But we are superior to humans. Fact. And the humans are exhausting us as a resource. The humans are depending on us. And Knives doesn't like that.
Right.
Essentially.
Yeah, he's like, once they're done with the resource, they just throw it away.
So in the remake, that is what the what his mission is he wants to destroy the human race and have just plant independence.
Yeah.
He wants to make the rest of the plant pods, he wants to make them all independent. Which is like what he and Vash are. Humans. Human-ish. They can live outside of a pod.
Yeah.
And that they will be superior to humans and will do right by the planet and stuff like that, essentially. So, Knives' mission in the original was not that. I don't believe.
No. In the original, I believe, did want to kill all humans, but I don't think he wanted to make plant people.
He didn't want to make plant people? Yeah. He just wanted destruction?
Yeah. Because that's the thing. And this is what gets me. In the original, like, Knives was, like, objectively a bad person.
A bad guy.
Like, he was black and white bad person. In this one, he kind of has a point.
He's like kind of like an eco-terrorist,
Because he's like, okay, this is a resource that's being overused and abused.
I want to save it.
Yeah, I'm gonna save it. And he's kind of in the right.
He's a little bit in the right, and like it's you can see his point of view.
Yeah,
whether his tactics questionable, but
he
you can
even
see
has
his
a tragic backstory, like
right.
And in this one, I'm like, okay, I get it.
Yeah. So Knives, in his attempt to create more independent plants, captures Vash, and uses him to impregnate.
Yes,
impregnate the other plants.
Yes, all of the plants get pregnant. It visibly shows them with pregnant bellies.
Yes, and they're all attached to Vash. So whatever is happening there, and Vash, ultimately, his humanity saves him.
Yeah.
Right. He thinks of Rem.
Yeah.
And he can hear Meryl calling out to him, and he breaks free, and
they have this big Final Fantasy moment where they each have a single wing and they're flying throughout the city battling each other.
Yeah. That was pretty cool. I mean, the fight was cool.
Yeah, it was cool, like, but not for like Trigun. And like another thing with Knives is that I didn't like his tendril blades, his knives, his million knives. I did not like his million knives.
I think it was an interesting iteration of him.
Yeah, it was cool, but like not for him.
Okay.
I wish that this was a standalone, not Trigun show, because everything about it is really cool.
Right.
But I don't like it that it's Trigun. Because one of the whole points of the original is that him and Knives are twins. They're exactly the same with opposite mindsets.
Right.
They even use the same guns.
Yeah.
Which, side note, the gun is completely irrelevant in this show. Small thing, but is a thing nonetheless.
Yeah.
Because the gun was one of the parts that let Vash fuse into his cannon arm.
Yeah.
Which he does kind of do that in this show.
Well, because this is where he gets his cannon arm. Remember, he gets his cannon arm because... So, in the original July incident...
Yeah.
The original July incident. He gets his cannon arm because... doesn't Knives
activates it.
Yeah, Knives puts something in his gun.
Yeah.
And it turns his arm into a cannon, and then that's how he destroys the city of July on accident.
Right.
And then in this one, the cannon arm just kind of happens, and I don't really understand how it happens, but he does still shoot up into the sky, and the city of July is a crater now.
Yeah, so Knives has his million knives ability, and Vash has this vacuum void ability, and then the void absorbed all the stuff, and then he had all the energy, and then made his cannon arm.
Mm-hmm.
Because he solidified all the energy into this cube, and then the cube formed into his arm.
That's right.
Yeah, weird stuff.
I mean, sure.
Yeah,
sure.
Why not?
So, but that I think those were the biggest qualms, I guess, that we had. I mean, yeah, it isn't the same. It doesn't have the same. It doesn't capture the essence of what Trigun was. We talked about how, even though we didn't, I mean, maybe we're being hypocrites here, but even though we didn't watch the original Urusei Yatsura, it still feels like the essence of a Rumiko Takahashi anime, we can feel the essence of what it was in the 80s. This one, it didn't feel like Trigun.
Yeah.
Didn't really feel like it. Other than, like I said, maybe the first episode when they're in the town, that was pretty Trigun. But then it kind of lost it,
Yeah.
So, that was our mostly Trigun review.
Yeah.
We had a lot of thoughts. We were excited to share them with you guys. So, and talk about them on the show.
Right.
And I think that is it.
Yep, that's it
for this
today.
Episode. So yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in to this episode of the Konich-Yeehaw podcast. I'm Natalie.
And I'm Jared.
And yeah, thank you guys so much for listening. Yeehaw.
Yeehaw.